What's going on? So today we have a video that's been in the work for absolutely way longer than it should have been. I mean, this video has been in the works for at least a year, so this is definitely going to be the longest video I've technically ever made. But as you can read, this is the final review of Black Ops 4. So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to get straight into it. So part 1, we have Blackout. So, Blackout was a rush game mode, which led to it being very bare bones in the beginning and just not fun overall. It was just a very slow game that didn't have much to do, and it was just overall not great. It was a very, alpha stage game, but yeah. And originally you had to unlock everyone, which was annoying since you couldn't play as anyone for the first few months until they just gave everyone all the multiplayer specialists, but yeah. You were over time able to unlock the numbers outfit in Blackout for multiplayer, which was one of my favorite outfits. This outfit was, as it says, numbers. It just showed a bunch of numbers, and it's a good, throwback to the original fans if you know. So yeah, but they kind of treated Blackout like Fortnite, and I know it was 100% used because Fortnite was blowing up at the time, and since Activision are greedy little shits, they of course just canceled the campaign, and they're like, alright, Blackout, yeah, give us that. And I will give them the benefit of letting Treyarch actually have complete control over Blackout and just make it what they want, but they did have control over the name of the name, which was of course Blackout, and it was super rushed because again, I think the campaign was 3/4 done, and then they scrapped it 6 months before the game was supposed to launch, and they said make a battle royale, and they delivered, and it just shows that it was a very rushed project. And thankfully Activision of course didn't just limit them to exactly what they want and just let them have fun with it, since I mean, yeah, but it was just a very bare bones thing at the beginning, and Activision they should have planned it out better. But yeah, but Blackout was not great or even good at the beginning, and since the limited time they had to actually make the game back in 2018, early of 2018, which was the release year of this game. Yes, I know it's 2020, don't get mad at me. And it was a very hard game to get out and working in the small amount of time they had after scrapping the whole campaign, which probably took a really hard toll on the dev team, since all their motivation was quite literally just taken and ripped out of their hearts, just absolutely just tore into pieces right in front of them. And it also doesn't help that this game got pushed a month forward to compete with Red Dead 2, which is Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, it's an old game, I understand, but yeah, so I feel as if they were like, oh, if we put in a bunch of old characters in the game, then maybe we'll think it's good and the players will like it, so let's just give a bunch of fan service. And when in reality, that did almost nothing for them, since they weren't focused on all the bugs and broken mechanics that are still in the game, which, I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it's been almost 2 years and they've patched almost all of them, but there's always bugs in there. And yeah, and it's not Treyarch's fault that these bugs are in the game, because it's mainly Activision for the crunch time they were on and just putting the dev team through all that they did, and they literally did not have time to fix the game and make sure it worked. So yeah, and honestly, doesn't make sense the amount of crunch time, since it was almost inhumane how much they did. And there's an article about this, and I'll get about the article later in this video, so if you want to look at it, it's in the link below or the description below, my bad, with all the other resources I use. So yeah, but don't get me wrong, Blackout is a good game. I enjoyed it. It has its flaw, like the lack of content in the beginning and the bugs and no 3D sound, so you can never tell where anyone was, which that was really annoying, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the main point of this game was by far that it was the most supported and had all the good devs on it. Yes, shout out Vonderhard, we love you. And I also like how the original Contrabands or Battle Pass, whatever you want to call them, they had Blackout characters in them. So for example, I think tier 200 on the first one, yeah, it was 200 originally, I know, then they made it better later with 100s, but originally it was 200, and the final tier was Hudson, which, who doesn't want Hudson? But that was before Activision pulled all their shady shit, so you could get Hudson or just get him with a different shirt. But basically it was all nice and peaceful in the end. It was just, in the beginning there was a lot of bugs and a lot of broken things that I wish they could have patched out, but again, they also didn't have the time on it. But yeah, and I also feel like Blackout has a weird story to it, and don't get me wrong, it's not the worst story I've ever heard, but I know there's a fucking story to a battle royale. It's kind of like, I guess it's basically like Fortnite and their story, where it's the most bare bones, no one gives two shits about it. But there's definitely a story to Blackout, and it's weird since it's kind of like Rainbow Six, where it's a simulation for the specialist and they're basically practicing, and in the story they can also bring back dead people, so like you can see that's why you see Woods or Reznov as playable characters in the simulation, so that's their excuse. I don't know why they did that, no one really cares, but overall the story is weird. And Woods in the story, the fake one, the dead one that they just made, is doing the no-nos with Mason's granddaughter, which it's weird. I mean, the Mason in the story, it goes from Alex Mason to his daughter to her daughter. So granddaughter of Alex Mason, the one we all love, is doing the naughties with a fake Wood. So I mean, it's cool. I don't know why they had to make it like this. It's very in-depth, and this guy named Ink Slasher, who I like, he does a really good video on this, and I'll put it on in the link below. Fuck, why do I keep saying the link below? My bad. The description below. Check it out. It's really good. But yeah, and another small feature that I enjoyed in Blackout from the very little I played, since I wasn't the biggest fan of it with all the stuff in it, but I definitely played it sometimes, and a very little detail that I like was that they brought back, for example, Reznov, who, remember, you know, they're past, they're dead, but in this game they have lines that talk about their past, and it's dedicated towards lore, for which, I mean, it makes people happy. But a very small detail they did is that they have lines for these characters. So I mean, you could have like Reznov say something about overall like something, but it's really cool how they have lines. It's basically fan service, but yeah, it's just tiny lines, tiny details that I like, and you can hear it every now and then if you play an old character that they have these lines that shout out to past games. So yeah, really small detail that I like. And all in all, Blackout was a good game mode. It wasn't the worst game I've ever played. It was a good one. It was definitely the most supported out of all of them. It was pretty fun when I went back to play it for this video, and even though in the past videos of mine I said it wasn't that great, I still enjoy it. And don't get me wrong, it's no PUBG in 2017 or H1 in 2016 or Warzone in 2020, which Warzone has its flaws, but it's a fun game mode, and I enjoy playing it sometimes when I play. And yes, I did download it again, but yeah, so Blackout isn't the worst game, and it's still fun. It definitely isn't as great as past battle royales, but it's overall just good. And you know, they were always adding new stuff, which is very rare now, but back in the prime days of this game, they were always adding new stuff, free content, like new additions to the map location, or just more stuff to do in the game. There's always being updates to this game mode, so you can definitely see how it's more supported than multiplayer zombies. So overall, it was the most supported out of all of them, and now that I think about it and remember back on the times I played it, this battle royale was actually really fun. I just enjoyed it versus other times where I don't remember liking it. But good game. I wish they had more time to develop from the crunch time, but yeah, other from that, we'll get into part 2. Alright, so we're back with part 2 of this. This is about zombies. Woo! So, this good old classic game mode. So, first off, when this game was being announced and all that, Treyarch used the fact that this game had 3 zombie maps at launch as a selling point, which, you know, don't get me wrong, it was great, since the last Black Ops game that had more than 1 map was Black Ops 2, and it had 3? 4? Let's see, one of those numbers. You know, Black Ops 3 had 1 map at launch, which was, yikes, but you know, this also came at a cost, which was bad map. So, the first map I want to talk about is Voyage of Despair. Now, if you don't know, this map was based on the Titanic and introduced a new set of characters, which I don't know the story at all since I just lost interest. So, the map itself is way too linear for me, and it was very confusing to navigate through, but again, it's also one of those maps where if you learn it, it'll be fine. But, you know, also to use Pack Punch on this map, it's kind of annoying. So, you have to grab these orbs, and there's like 5 of them, then you can Pack Punch. It's, you know, I'm okay with a fun way to get Pack Punch and use it, like, for example, the plane in Mob of the Dead, or just turning on the power and teleporting, but this feels more like a chore than the feature, which I don't like, since I don't like the fact that it should be more of a chore to get something than an actual feature. So that's one big thing that this game had. So yeah. Now the map wasn't really great by any means, and if you ask me, this was probably the worst map in Black Ops series and COD Zombies. But yeah. Next is Blood of the Dead. If you don't know, this was just Mob of the Dead, but worse. Now, you might be asking, how did they make this map out? Well, I honestly don't know either, since I kind of just port that map in and bam. But basically, you spawn in a different section of the map, then you go into the actual prison, and it's fundamentally the same, besides the fact that you have to do a very tedious process to get Pack Punch versus, the fun way to make the plane and use that, and, yeah. So, from that, there's nowhere to go, there's no plane that would take you anywhere, and there's no the shock stuff anymore. Actually, I think there is. I haven't played it in a while. But yeah, it wouldn't even be that bad of a map. And, it's weird to get to, since it's Mob of the Dead, so it's fun, but there's so much new stuff, it just kind of destroys the map for me, and I also don't like the new perk system. It's just boring, and I don't like how it's a chore to get all the stuff done. So yeah, there's not too much to say on this map. I just don't like it in general. It's just Mob the Dead, but worse. So it's not as awful as Voyage of the Despair, since it's Mob the Dead, but it's not great. Now, next up is 9, which is IX, which is 9. Because if you don't know Roman numerals, you should know that. So this map is my favorite out of the 3, and I said it before in older reviews on Black Ops 4 I did, and it still holds that. I like the sunny atmosphere and vibe to it versus the nighttime creepy scene. It's a very interesting change that I like, and I don't know why, I just like it. Now, the pack process on this map isn't that hard. All you gotta do is go to the 4 temples with, the perks in them. I forget, you could customize your perks in this game, so wherever you want. There's 4 temples, you go there, and you summon the champion, which... The only problem with this is that it's very missable to see where you actually get the champion. Then otherwise from that, you just navigate underneath the temple, and you'll find the pack. Unless you're new to the game and you only know past packs, since yeah. Basically, you just go to temple, kill a dude, go underground. Ooh, pack punch. So yeah. Otherwise, you can also train in the middle of the arena, and the fire that's there, it throws you off, which it makes you think very quick, and it makes you have to make fast decisions. Because if you don't know, there's this arena, it's a circle, and there's 4 lines that go through it that produce fire every now and then. Basically, you have to navigate those, train, and I like it. If you're going to train or go in another direction, you have to navigate with the map and knowing which fire is going to come next. So yeah, interesting change, and it works. So yeah. Now in high rounds, this is where this map gets annoying. So there's these boss fights, we could call them, which has there's one guy with 2 axes, and another guy that just punches you with his fist, and there's tigers too. It's kind of like dogs, but tigers, I guess. Now on the high round, there's at least 8 of these dudes every round, not including the actual boss, which is even more annoying to kill, which is just like a mutated spider looking dude. So I don't like how there's a boss fight every round on high ground, since it's annoying. Who wants to do that? But one thing that this is that they have tiger rounds, which are basically dog rounds, which they're tigers, kill them, and you get free max, which is nice. So yeah, I like it. But yeah, otherwise, there's not much else to this map. It's a pretty small map. The box always gives you stuff like... I don't know. It always gives you stuff. I don't know where I was going for that. But the box always spawns in the same place, which is nice. And, there's challenges which you could do that will give you stuff like double points or an upgraded pistol, which you just go up to the flags and do it. The only problem here is that they're easy to miss. So yeah, now... out of all those 3 maps, I would say none of them are any of the best, especially from past Black Ops. And they're not the worst maps in my opinion, but they're the worst launch maps. So yeah. Now, They also did this thing where they got rid of old perks like Juggernaut, and they just gave you 200 health at the beginning, which I don't like. They changed the perk system now where you pick what you want, and you know the models of the perks look different, which it was an interesting change, but I say no. I personally hated it. They took out one of the most iconic things to zombies and got rid of it. So you know, hey Treyarch, if you're listening to this, please bring back old perks. I love them so much, and you know, I kind of see why they got rid of Jug and just gave you the extra health, but you know, no, it's just not worth it. I want the old perks, and the old perks were perfect, and I love them. These new ones are, you know, they're basically reused ones, and none of them are cool at all, so just bring back the old perks. It would be so great. But yeah, that's it for zombies. On to the best part, which is going to be a longer part, and this is multiplayer. Woo! Black Ops 4 multiplayer. Now, this multiplayer is something I find fun even to this day. I know, crazy, right? But it's definitely not as complex as Modern Warfare or as realistic as Black Ops 1. It's more that arcade style run and gun gameplay, which is just fun to use, and overall is just fun. But while I find the multiplayer in this game fun, there are still serious problems with it. And in the beginning, the score streaks were the most broken thing that made the game unenjoyable, and basically it was of course later patched, and it was actually patched quite quickly, which good job on them. But after this came all of the lies and all of the shit that they just did to just ruin this game. And originally this game wasn't supposed to have blackjack, but after some time they added it, and this is where the problems come, and they come in fast, since there was supposed to be no loot boxes, no nothing. It was just supposed to be fun, boots on the ground gameplay. They're like, hey, remember what we said? We didn't say that. And that's just where all of the problems came. But you know, before I get into all this blackjack crap, first thing I want to point out is that there was a battle pass which was changed throughout the life cycle of the game. There was, I think, like 5 of them. I could be wrong, but it was basically a battle pass. I forgot what they call it, maybe like a contraband. I forget the exact name of it, but we could just call it battle pass because that's what it is. And at first you got some weapons from the past ones, which were of course free and anyone could get them, and it was all good. No loot boxes, no pay to win aspects. It's just alright. But after this, it just took a turn, and loot boxes made the grand return. So originally when loot boxes came back, everything was just purely cosmetic. Just the only thing is that it wasn't. And there were these things called Mark II weapons, which added small buffs to your gun. Most of them were just like XP boosters, so if you get a kill you got more XP, which it means if you happen to get one of these Mark II weapons, it would be pay to win, which you could argue that it's not because it just gives you more XP, but technically it's pay to win, and this is where everything just goes down the drain very quickly. So if you had one of these guns, you just had the advantage over everyone because you get XP faster and you can just rank up faster. So you can see how it's somewhat pay to win at this point, but not enough. So maybe that's not enough for you, and you're like, oh, that's nothing, I'm okay with that, right? Because it's alright, I can't be too mad at that myself. I mean, I'm gonna keep it honest. But let me introduce you to the contraband weapons, and holy shit, were these weapons so overpowered. And I made a video over the notorious Stingray, which if you want to watch, you can look at the top right hand corner of your screen now. But even with the Stingray being so overpowered that you physically cannot counter it with any other guns, if someone had that in the lobby, you weren't winning, and that video I made just proves that. But another notorious gun was the Peacekeeper, which was basically the Maddox with no recoil and better damage, making it yet another weapon you can't compete with, like, at all. It was physically impossible to actually compete with these weapons, and you can see how this is kind of pay to win, because you can only get them through loot boxes, and you know how you get loot boxes? You pay for them. So yeah, this is where you could definitely see where the problems are coming in, and they came in fast. So let's actually get to the loot boxes of this game. So you had to play around 2.5 hours. I think that's being a little generous. It's more like 3 hours, but being generous, 2.5 hours is a good reasonable spot. And you did all that for one loot box, and with this one loot box you got one item, and holy shit, the amount of filler items you see, it's crazy. So as you'll be seeing on screen, I recorded almost all my loot boxes back when I was playing this game, and I'm putting them on screen now. And as you can probably notice, almost all of them are either duplicates or filler items that no one wants, like sprays and stickers. And I think what makes it all worse is that the filler items were to the point where if you got a skin it was for one specialist or one gun. So you could realistically get the same skin like 12 times for each different weapon or specialist, which, why? Just make a universal skin. I don't know why they did that, but it's just, I mean, money. It's obviously money, but you know what you could do over that? Over all of this? You could pay for loot boxes. And you know what you did if you pay for them? You got 3 items, and you want to know what they exactly were? Duplicates and filler items. You got nothing good. The chances of you getting something good were basically 0. So, yeah. Now, one last problem besides this pay-to-win aspects are the filler items. And, again, I can't really explain how many filler items were in here. I don't even think there's a graph because there's that many, but it was thousands upon thousands of filler items, and like maybe like 200 actual items. So filler items were a huge problem in here, but overall this were duplicates, and holy hell, the duplicates, you got these almost 90% of the time. The chances of you not getting a loot box without duplicating it is basically 0. So the best part about this is, unlike other games where if you get duplicate it re-rolls it, or like I think Apex Legends is duplicate protected, so you literally can't get it, but besides all of that, you had to get 3 duplicates to get a duplicate protected item, and the chances that it was going to be some dog shit filler item was still enormously high. So not only did you have to wait a solid like 10 hours just to get 3 duplicates to get one item you don't have, but chances are the item's going to be something you don't want, you can't see actually on your character or your gun, or you're just not going to use it. It's just I don't understand why they did this, and I still don't know why they couldn't have duplicate protected cases, which I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they added them later, but still, I mean, Apex Legends came with duplicate protected items in the beginning. It's just, yeah, and Apex is a free game, by the way, versus this, which was a $60 game. So, yeah, duplicates were a huge problem in this game, and I remember the chances of you getting something you actually want is like 0.04, something like that. I don't remember the exact thing, but it's basically 0. So, yeah, the chances of you getting anything out of reserves are basically 0, so good luck if you're still playing this game, which I don't think many people are, but still, loot boxes are just horrendously awful in this point of its life cycle. And you know, while they definitely improved on this later in the life, it's where now you could just like actually earn them, and if you earn enough reserve crates you could trade in for a DLC weapon of your choice, which is nice. But the problem here is that they fixed all this after Modern Warfare came out, and the player base for Black Ops 4 just plummeted to the floor. So if they did that like mid-January, this game could have been great, and it wouldn't even be great, it would just be a much better life improvement and probably have way more people in the game. So yeah, and I know you can compare games like Fortnite or Apex Legends to this, but the problem here is that this game is $60 fucking dollars. Apex Legends and Fortnite are all free, and yes, while the prices in those games are stupidly high, like you're paying $20 for a skin in Fortnite, the thing here is that they're only cosmetic. They don't affect gameplay, but you know what does affect gameplay? Black Ops 4 loot boxes. Ahaha. So, yeah, you could definitely see what this was here. It's a huge problem, but blackjack in this game was horrific, and still to a certain extent still is, but thankfully, I think Activision caught on and added a much better style of microtransactions to Modern Warfare, which I feel as if sales start to eat ass on Modern Warfare though, loot boxes are coming straight back in. Yeah, but for now, I'm okay with the microtransactions in Modern Warfare. They're just not over the top and nothing like, oh, pay to win aspects. I still don't like them, but it's definitely an improvement, so I'll give them that. Then I also want to believe that, you know, the backlash that Activision got from fans encouraged this, but of course I'm not sure. And I mean, it was kind of obvious at this point that Activision was worse than EA, and no one cared to acknowledge it, and that's just because Activision got the shadow, I guess. Like, they were shadowed by EA because everyone was shooting on EA that they got the spotlight and had to fix their stuff, versus Activision where they just creeped on by doing this shit. And yeah, it's just thankfully it's not like this anymore, and I hope it never goes back to that kind of low point. But overall it was just bad. But if you want to know more, I'll link some videos in the description along with all my other resources on this, and it's fun to look at, but it's just, yeah, it's crazy how much all this just was. It's just, loot boxes were hell in this game. So yeah, now last thing I want to talk about, multiplayer as a specialist, and while I like some of them, I personally feel as they should have just gotten rid of some of them, more than like half of them actually. They were all obviously way more overpowered than the others. And yes, I'm still looking at you, Ajax, Torque, and Nomad, you fucking shitters. I will never get over that. I'm still upset to that. And again, I'll give Treyarch the upper hand as they fixed it in a reasonable time with these, so they're not too overpowered and feel more balanced, but still, they were still a problem. And even if they were a problem, I mean, it's just bad. But yeah, they could have just fixed this by just not having them, but it's just, I can't even explain how much. Okay, if you played Black Ops 4 in its really early days, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, most specialists were stupidly overpowered. I mean, like, Ajax had a shield which you couldn't penetrate unless you got him from the back, and even score streaks could kill him, so shows you how overpowered he was, or other specialists couldn't counter him. So yeah, it was a bad time back then, and it was still a bad time throughout the entire game. But yeah, and you know, it was a nice touch that not only were specialists just annoying, but they added towards down everything. Like, they just made everything more bearable. It was just a nice touch by them, so the game wasn't as annoying as it was. But yeah, it was still pretty annoying. But overall, multiplayer in this game was promising in the beginning, and it had actual potential to it, which was great. But they just left it to be an actual joke. And yeah, overall, Black Ops 4 multiplayer, while I absolutely love the style of gameplay they had for it, you just ruined it with the specialists and the microtransactions. And hopefully with Black Ops 5 they don't repeat this. So yeah, but overall, let's wrap this up and get to the verdict. Black Ops 4 was the tragic happening of a promising game being hit with greedy corporate practices that leaves a bitter taste in all of our mouths, and it tarnished the game and the name. So yeah, but overall, this game started out being promising, and coming out after the lackluster World War II, which of course they later fixed that game. This game was something that could have been improved on throughout the entire game, but ended up being worse than any other Call of Duty we've seen to this day. And while many might still think Infinite Warfare was the worst game, I mean, listen, okay, I'm going to rant. Modern Warfare or Infinite Warfare really wasn't that bad. I did like it, but yeah, but Black Ops 4 was way worse than this, and it just ended up being in a horrendous state. And the way it was to pay to win, and any other just overall overpowered thing, it was way worse than any other COD we've seen to this day. So Black Ops 4 is definitely one of the lowest games that Black Ops and Call of Duty has been in general. And now, while again, I still love the gameplay of this game, it was just ruined by the crunch time that they said they wouldn't do, and they did. And you know what they're doing with Black Ops 5? Crunch time and the gameplay. But overall, the greedy practices and the crunch time and the low amount of time they had to develop this game, it just showed, and it just ended up being something that you could have named it with EA and it would have been the same quality. So yeah, it's just sad what happened to this game. And speaking of that, there was this infamous article that came out, which again, I'll link it below, and this article showed the dark side of making this game, with that all these employees that were lower than like higher ups, I guess, I'm not sure what you call them, but basically it just showed how bad lowers, like, what would you call that, just employees lower on the chain in the development, like game testers and all of that, how bad they were treating it. It's a great read, but a horrible situation that I hope never happens again. And Activision tried to defend themselves, but it was a really shitty defense. So overall, it was just a bad rep for them, and it will be linked in the description. I recommend you read it. I enjoyed reading it. I didn't enjoy the topic it was going over, but it was a good read. And you know, after seeing Modern Warfare and the time it's been out, I think Activision learned their lesson and are slowly making games more bearable to play. Yes, I would rather play Black Ops 4 besides Modern Warfare at this point, because SBMM and Modern Warfare and all of that, I just don't want to deal with it. And if I want to deal with it, I would just go to rank play, something Black Ops 4 has. You know who doesn't have that? Modern Warfare. But yeah, it's just getting past all of this, you know. Modern Warfare has been handled greatly with no loot boxes and the battle pass, which is more of an improvement versus Black Ops 4, which you have the premium one, the free one. It's just better, overall better. So yeah, and you know, another thing is with Warzone being free, yes, I'm still mad about Blackout being $60 just to squeeze more money out of you, but yeah. So in the end, The reason I delayed this video for so long was just to see how Black Ops 4 would end up after its life cycle, and while the lies of it being constantly updated wasn't true at all, where they were saying like, oh, we're gonna update for the next 5 years, which they are, I will give them the good word for slowly making their game better and having way too many double XP weekends for players. I mean, like, almost every week is a double XP at this point, but yeah, I just wanted to see what this game would turn into, so that's why I delayed it almost 2 years, so yeah, but still, you can't fix what they've done to this game, and all in all, this game was one of the most promising games I've played that was tarnished and will stand as the turning point in microtransactions in games. Maybe I might come back to this game in a couple years, but for now, it's time to lay this game off and just let it rest and just let the history happen to it and just hope that the devs learn their mistake and Activision learn their mistake and just improve on future games. But knowing the crunch time of Black Ops 5, which is supposedly supposed to come out in 2020 this year, it's just, I'm not sure, and I still find it funny because the past 2 Black Ops have been on the massive crunch times and you can see all the problems they had. But yeah, knowing the status of the new Black Ops and the current state of the world, I just hope they delay this game and let them just come out with the game when it's actually finished for once. So yeah, maybe like push it back a year on a remaster game this year. It's just, please don't ruin Black Ops 5. So yeah, and I can assure you most of this will be okay if you just delay the game for a year or 2. It's just, I'm telling you, Activision, please delay the game. Please don't make Black Ops 5 bad, since I really enjoy the Black Ops series, but the last 2 have been awful, and you know, while I still enjoy them, no, you're never going to be able to stand up to Black Ops 1 or 2, but you could easily make good games. But if you're going to do this with the devs and just put them on crunch time constantly where they could barely work, it's just not a good idea. But yeah, wrapping this video up, hope you enjoyed this. Sorry this video came out so late, despite the fact that I started working on this video back in the winter of 2018. Hopefully the year or so worth of seeing how this game would turn out in the future of this game pays off. Hopefully all of this is paid off, but other from that, hope you liked it, and until next time, see ya. Hey, it's me again, and I swear this is the last time I actually speak on this video, but if you made this far, I just want to thank you, since that just means the absolute world to me. And I know this video is hopefully coming out on the 8th of April of 2020, and yes, I did actually start this planning of the video back in 2018. I still have some of the original scripts, and it's actually kind of funny, since this video you can see how I've slowly progressed in, like, I guess, like, quality. You can see from Blackout to multiplayer how I progress, and you can even see in zombies when I recorded that a long time ago, and I didn't have as much quality, and it used to be back when I just used to write bullet points instead of a whole script versus now. So it's kind of like a timepiece in a way, but overall I just want to thank y'all for watching this. I know it took a long time, and I didn't even get to everything I wanted to talk about. I mean, I was going to talk about the Black Ops Pass, which is basically just a $60 edition that has games or more maps on it, and they had it free for 1 weekend and it still didn't even work, so it really wasn't worth it, or like any of the other stuff, like some of the SMGs that were overpowered. But overall, I think I got my point across, and yeah, so thank you for watching this video, hope you enjoyed, and again, if you made it this far, I just want to thank you, and this is one of my favorite projects that I've made so far, and the time tells on it, since, again, almost a 2-year-old project, so definitely the longest one I've taken, and this has been in the works on editing since 2018, so it's definitely longer than my R6 montage, which was originally my longest. So yeah, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks again.